Hi guys, welcome to the Kujenga parenting series. So the agenda for today is introduction, opening remarks, parenting through play, building strong bonds with your child, questions and answers, and closure remarks. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is situated within the traditional treaty territory of Mississaugas, more specifically the Mississaugas Schoolgog Island First Nations, the signatories of Gunshot Treaty of 1788 and the Williams Treaty of 1923. This land is and will continue to be home of the indigenous peoples. Let us acknowledge the mistakes and traumas of the past through authenticity and support truth and reconciliation. Let us engage and celebrate indigenous communities by being leaders of action in acknowledging United Nations Declarations of Rights of Indigenous Peoples recommendations towards truth and reconciliation. Let us keep these principles close as we continue towards truth and reconciliation as we move forward with kindness and respect as a community. Honoring Black lives and Black identity. At Kujenga Family Wellness Project, I think it came up. Let me see. I think the screen came off. Okay, it's back. Um, at Kujenga Family Wellness Project, we acknowledge the impacts of anti-Black racism on our community. We honor ancestors and leaders who forged the path toward their liberation. We celebrate Afrocentric and the values that guide our wellness. It's like,
Are we good to go, Naraya?
yeah, I'm not controlling the
Okay.
screen though. Yeah, so hold on. I'm just waiting for it. Try. I'm gonna try taking over. Who are we? We strive to build pillars rooted in our history, the culture, and the people. So we do family outreach, support lines, educational workshops and webinars, community advocacy support, and comprehensive resource library and online resources and courses. There's the team there. Next slide. Let's see. Yeah, so this is our team here. John, you can say hi.
Hey, Chantal, how are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Excited to have a conversation in regards to the topic that you'll be sharing.
hmm Yeah, I'm excited.
We're good to start, Naraya?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to share on my screen. I don't think it's working.
Okay, so before we start, Chantal, I would like for you to share who you are and also to share why this topic.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is Chantel Gray. I'm a registered social worker, psychotherapist. So, I have my own practice, which I actually have with my mother. And it's called Rose Oasis Counseling Services. And we work with children, youth, adults, couples, and families, and our team has grown. And in terms of this topic, I am working on my certification around play therapy, and I think being able to add play into the family structure and working with children has been so great because you get to see so much messaging through the play, and because children don't sometimes have the words, so it's also great for me to get be silly and fun and not so serious all the time. So I truly enjoy talking about play. hmm
Okay. How do you find it working alongside your mom?
It's great, actually. Sometimes we have to be really like we're talking about work now and like home life, so we have to be really good at knowing how to when to talk about certain things. But so far, it's been great.
That is fantastic.
hmm
That's okay, Nora. You've already, I guess you went through those particular slides already.
Yeah. Just trying to find where we were.
And in terms of child therapy, why that particular interest in terms of art therapy or
Yeah,
play therapy, I should say.
Yeah, in terms of working with children, I've always, I think, throughout my career, worked with children, and I just enjoy it because, and I find I always gravitate even the hardest, whatever we may call the hardest child, because I'm like, they're just not acting out for no reason. There's something going on, and I've been told that I've been pretty great with getting, children to talk or express themselves and. Sometimes it's not even the children, it's sometimes the parents who are the hardest ones to work with.
Okay.
Um, but um, but it's great to see when families can come together and work through whatever is going on and support the child better. hmm
Yes, so that's more of a double prong approach by
hmm
supporting the child and supporting the family,
hmm
so they can both find a medium ground, right? Yeah,
Right, exactly.
mm, that's fantastic.
Thank you so much for sharing. So we have the Kujenga Family Wellness Fair. Save the date, May 9th, 2026. You guys should definitely come.
Yes, that would be an opportunity for yourself and your mom. You can set up a booth if you like. And we invite from vendors to all of the community, Black and Indigenous in Durham, to come out for for a day of just wellness, resources, products, everything that falls under the umbrella of supporting Black community. That's what will happen in that space.
Absolutely. Supporting families to thrive. Save the date, May 9th, 2026, the Wellness Fair. Just a few other cool events. So a few like housekeeping rules for the webinar. Raise your hands to speak or share your question in the chat, and it's very slow. And we'll get back to you, as well as I'll announce what you ask, just in case maybe she's presenting and she can't see. So yeah.
Okay.
So this is parenting through building strong bonds with your child. So yeah, thank you. I think, do you have something to share? I think you can. Let me stop sharing so you can pull it up.
For myself,
Oh no, for her presentation. Chantel.
Oh,
oh,
yes, I'll need to share. Yeah.
yeah, please do, Chantal.
Hello. So, welcome. Thank you all for joining. I'm excited to talk about this topic. And I am also interested in learning from you all because I don't claim to know everything and I'm always interested in learning new things from others. So feel free to ask questions in the chat or if you have thoughts, feel free to share in the chat. I like presentations to be interactive, so feel free to share your thoughts as we go through it, and I'll have questions and things and little activities to go through as we go through the presentation. All right, so for just kind of our opening, our icebreaker, share one game or playful activity you enjoyed as a child. Anyone wants to share? You can put it in the chat or you can unmute if you're able to.
One playful activity as a child. Um, Always going outside to play in the park.
Mm-hmm.
That's always my favorite. Like, cause I'm older, we always had those big metal slides. And if
Mm-hmm.
it was the summertime, if you weren't wearing pants, it will burn your skin.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But those slides were the best. And someone put skipping.
Skip it. Yes, that's fun. And I also, back in Jamaica, would play a game called Dandy Shandy. It's kind of like monkey in the middle,
Yes,
but we'd use balls and throw at the people in the middle, real like
yes.
tennis ball or boxes or whatever we had. We were definitely creative with the type of games we had, but it definitely, you know, brings joy when you think about some of the activities and things that we got to do as kids. And sometimes it's unfortunate to see kids just on their screens, and you're like, there's so much to do outside, so much creativity. But yeah, so thank you all for sharing. And I also saw soccer, baseball for sure. Yes, that was a good one. Yeah. So thank you all for sharing that. So why play? So play is important as it's in children's development as children learn through their work about the world through play, right? Children are navigating how to um, connect with people, how to share, how to use different things and tools that we do. So there's so much that we probably don't consider as play, but is play. And play starts from so much younger than two, but in terms of at age two, children start to imitate adult actions because they have developed a mental image or representation of others through memories they have with them. And I definitely see that even my almost 2 year old, where she's now putting on my shoes, even the high heels, and trying to walk around with them, right? Because she's seeing the actions and things that are happening within the household. So it can even happen in where kids are, seeing their dad shaving or parents driving them to daycare, and they may reenact these things using their stuffed animal or Barbies or whatever they may have. What are some things that you've seen your children imitate or copy you doing?
Well, for mine at home, every time if I want to go in the fridge for something, they always want to follow behind me and want everything that they see I'm trying to place in my mouth. I can't even
Mm-hmm.
sneak it because there's always one behind me. So
Mm-hmm.
always in terms of definitely in terms of food, they enjoy my preference in things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're just very deep observers. They always just want to watch what you're doing so they could understand it and also mimic it later. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So this is just a great reminder that our kids are watching us and we're their first teachers in a way of about the world and life and safety and attachment, right? And I see someone else also said sweeping and mopping. and skipping. So yes, yeah, definitely do that, which is great. And you're like, you wish as they get older they would keep doing it. But but I know they are learning about their world by just watching us, and they think these things are fun, right? And this is play, and it's like, how do we then encourage some of these behaviors so that it continues hopefully into teenagehood and adulthood? So why play matters? So as I said before, play is the language. It's how they learn, express their feelings, and connect with people, animals, emotional. They can, through play, they can learn emotional regulation, right? I know, especially working with a lot of children, I can see how they even like using army figures, how they may use them with each other. Are they like aggressive or angry, shooting each other, right? These are messaging that you can get in terms of how are they regulated, or are they just throwing all the toys, what's going on in their world for them, as well as they can also learn problem solving skills, right? If this toy is stuck, what do they need to do? Do they need to ask an adult for help, or can they figure it out on their own? And then social skills, if they're with other kids, how are they learning to share or asking questions, right? So there's so much through play that they're learning. And it also strengthens relationships, right? They're learning to connect with maybe their dolls, and you can see that they're mimicking relationships within their household or with friendships. And then it builds confidence, as I said, if they're problem solving and figuring things out, it makes them feel more confident in their play and being able to actually do that more. And then it improves communication. When we're especially when they're babies or they're toddlers, we're constantly teaching the word of the toy or the item, right? So they're learning to remember that, oh, that is a red ball, right? And they're learning how to use their words. And then it also can reduce stress and improve their mental health, right? It gives them a space to share their feelings or act out how they're feeling through play. I know I've worked with a kid where we did what's called sand tray. So it was a bunch of sand and they were playing with toys in the sand. And by the end, he felt like a deep sigh. He's like, oh, I feel better now, right? So there's so much that play can provide kids as well. Things you learn about your child through play. So how they see the world, right? Do they see it as unsafe or frightening? How they cope with frustration. As I said before, right? Are they throwing things, or are they able to take deep breaths, or how they deal with disappointment? So when they lose a toy or a friend takes their toy, right? How do they react? Or successes? How are they celebrating themselves when they're achieve something? And especially as parents, how we are celebrating them when they do achieve something, right? Because I know if, even for my almost 2-year-old, just by saying good job, you see a smile and she claps, right? So it's important that we celebrate their successes and how your child initiates, responds, and negotiates with others, right? Are they just taking toys, or are they able to ask and say thank you and use their manners and all these things? So there's so much that comes with play. Yeah. And is there any questions so far? Feel free to ask in the chat. Or if you have any other thoughts around things that children learn through play.
Yeah, I think in terms of um, learning through play, how to kind of negotiate in a space with their friends.
Hmm.
So, because I realize the toy thing is such a big thing. If there's that one red car in the space, everyone
Hmm.
wants to jump on it. Some kids tend to push, some will stand back. I'm like, okay, you can go. It's really interesting to see who is aggressive and who isn't.
Hmm.
And with my youngest, she's 3, um, she's learning balance because when she's in a space and if someone's aggressive and they kind of sit on the toy that she's about to get on, she would kind of still hold on to the handle of it. She
Hmm.
would let go. And then eventually the child will get fed up, get up, and then she'll sit down and then nod her head like, I told you I was going to sit on it.
Right.
And she learned that from because she has two older brothers. So
Hmm.
she has to make sure that she has a voice and she does things to let them
Hmm.
know that, hey, this is what I want to do.
Hmm.
But I've noticed with my boys though, when they were her age, if someone was to sit on the toy, like the eldest one was ready to bawl. And I'm like, what? Like, really?
Yeah. Hmm.
Right? He didn't know how to voice himself and say, hey, that's not fair.
Hmm.
And then my second, he was a little bit different. He's more rough around the edges like me. So he's the one. That person's not gonna sit on that toy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but I think you bring out good points that each child is very different and you have to parent them very different as well, right? And approach
Yes.
them and their play in different ways, right? And I think that's why it's important to be also observing your kids because then you can notice some of these personality traits and things to work on with them from earlier on. Yeah, so thanks for sharing that. And in terms of play, it helps with secure attachment, which is really important, right? And it starts from when, kids are born, that are they forming a healthy attachment to their parent. So it helps develop when a child feels safe. They can explore knowing their caregivers are a safe base, right? You feel comfortable, you're able to cry and be comforted with your parent. They feel seen. Their emotions and needs are noticed and responded to, right? So if you notice that your child is hungry, you're able to provide them with a meal. Soothed, they're comforted and supported when distressed, right? So you hug them, you kiss their boo-boo, whatever it is, and to make them feel better. And then secure, they trust their caregiver will be there for them. And I think this is a big one, right? We hear where kids have anxious attachment, right? They're not sure if their parent is coming back. As let's say if there was separation anxiety, if they leave and not coming back. So, right. So it's important that kids know that their parent or caregiver is there for them. Question. So what gets in the way of playtime in your home or just in general? I know it's like we have to out ourselves, but it's just, life is busy. So what does get in the way?
Yeah. My personal time.
Hmm.
Sometimes I feel I don't have personal time. I see dinner and chores.
Right. I'd say responsibilities. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes, definitely big ones, right? Because by the time the kids come home from school or daycare, it's like into the evening routine and bed. Being tired, that's a big
Yes.
one. Yeah. Especially if you're working in the throughout the day, you have a little energy left and then have to, it's like another job once the kids are home and you have to be with them. So yeah, it is tough, right? And especially being in North America, we are overextended and having to do so much just to care for our families, right? And it's very individualized family systems. So everyone's kind of feeling like they're on their own to kind of just navigate life. So it does add more to our plates. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. So as said, there is challenges with time, finding the time, tiredness, distractions, feeling awkward and unsure how to play. And this one I wanted to expand on because sometimes, especially depending on the family you're in, they're very like it's you have to be in your books and that's it, and then it really gives space for play, right? You have to be serious about other things, and it can feel awkward being silly as a parent, especially within certain cultures where we we always had to be doing something productive and in terms of, especially in a Jamaican household, I couldn't just be sitting around doing nothing. I had to always be either I have to go find a book to read or something like that. So, but I'm still grateful that my parents did give me time for play, but it wasn't always all the time, right? And then distractions can be, different extracurricular activities, right? Even though kids are doing things, they're still having to be concentrated in something. It doesn't give them to be as creative and doing other things. And tiredness, right? We're just all winging it and tired. And then cultural expectations around what maybe certain people have to be doing within the home. So there's so many different types of play, and this is more focused on younger ages. But for the first one, on occupied play. So if you can think back to when your child was little one, this starts with from birth to about 3 months of age. So this is when they're just kind of there and looking around and observing um, and doing movements. So this is still play in their own little way, right? Because they're trying to understand the world. And then solitary play, usually find that the kids at this age are just kind of playing by themselves. They're playing with their toys. They're not really focused on anyone else. They're just in their play and enjoying that. So it could be playing with toys or puzzles or other items. And then this is helpful because it will build their own creativity and confidence and self-reliance to be able to figure out things on their own. And then spectator or onlooker is children are watching other children play or adults around them and able to just observe. And I guess this is where the mimicking starts to come in, right? Because they're looking and seeing how people do things. And then the parallel play is kids are could be sitting right beside each other and just kind of doing their own individual thing. And that's their way of still socializing. And there can be some mimicking happening as well there. And then associate play is unstructured. They're playing with their games and have their own toys. And the difference is that they start to engage with other children and play together. And then cooperative play is more organized, where the children give themselves roles, establish rules, and guide the play. So that could look like role plays or puzzles or another shared activity. And then there's also so many different types of play. So there's competitive play, so that's through board games or sports games where, you're trying to win, or there's guidelines. Constructive play, building a tower. I know lots of kids love Legos, and it's definitely not fun stepping on those, or assembling pillow forts or anything like that, or sandcastles. And then there's dramatic play where, they're being imaginary, have scenarios, want to be a spy or something like that. So get to act out different things. And then physical play is when they're like to climb things. I know I see a lot of kids just climbing anything, and you look around and you're like, how did they get up there? Right. So they are loving to jump and skip and do all those things, which is great for their motor skills and building an active self. And then sensory is where they engage with their senses. So the touching, feeling, tasting, exploring through shapes and textures, which is really good for kids to start to understand things. And even such as, playing with their food. Sometimes we're like, oh, this gets so messy, but there's actually good reasoning for it, right? They're actually learning, oh, this is what this feels like, or and can now have texture and things to that. And then language play is when they're learning to play with sounds, how when different animals, we make the sound moo or whatever. So they're learning about what goes with the different animals or how to do nonverbal communication. And then role play is where, you take the personality or of a character and you act out something. So that's also great. And then the last one I'll talk about is exploration play. Involves learning, new materials, smelling things and touching and even tasting them just to explore and investigate what it's about. All right. So, what has surprised you the last time you observed your child playing? Have you noticed anything when you've witnessed your child playing?
I'd have to say her conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Before the conversation was between um, her and a stuffy or a doll or whatever it is. Because are you okay? Oh, you need a band-aid. You do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's, are you okay? Oh, you're okay. Now they're answering back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, given, I guess, some voice or to that
Giving
animal.
giving
Yeah.
voice to
Mm-hmm.
right. So she's engaged in the full conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And definitely imaginary and role playing there.
Yes,
Oh, son constantly wants to play fight. Yeah, and I guess that's the physical play that your son likes.
absolutely.
Yes, and what emotions do you notice your child expressing most often in play? So when you're observing your child, what do you notice?
More empathy, like, oh, it's okay. You're gonna be all right. Always saying that.
Hmm, that's sweet. And most likely your child is doing that with stuffies. Probably will do that with kids at school if they get hurt or something, right? So you know your child is empathetic.
That's interesting you say that because the other day they were saying that, every time there is a little one that's crying or whatever, she walks over, grabs their hand, and says, it's okay, come, let's do something else. So
Mm-hmm.
she does do that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that just shows whatever's happening in the play is likely to happen in the real world as well. All right. So the parenting part around what are some play ideas for different age groups? And there's definitely things you all can suggest and add to this. But parents can nurture connections for play that fits their child's age and interest. And I think you guys had talked about child development, and it's important to know where your child is and what and how much they can do at their different ages. So infants, right? Peekaboo, singing, finger plays, sensory exploration, so touching things. I know when it was wintertime, I had my daughter just touching the snow, right? So that is play and they're learning about that. Preschoolers can be pretend play where you're acting out things, building blocks, arts and crafts, dancing, storytelling, which kids really, really love. And then school age children can be board games, cooperative tasks, creative projects, outdoor play. And, kids also around this age also love arts and storytelling and dancing and building things as well. And then preteens could be things like cooking together, team games or sports, shared hobbies. So I think it's a great bonding when you and your child, especially at this age, have a shared hobby where you can talk about and engage in, that can definitely strengthen your relationship, or at least as a parent, even if you're not interested, be curious or learn about what your child is interested in so they can at least come to you to even talk about it, even though you may not understand anything about what it is. And then music or role-playing conversations, right? Which is really important as kids are, especially teens are navigating teenagehood. Different things are come up. And so role-playing different scenarios can be really helpful for them to, when it actually happens, that they're a little bit more prepared to do it. So the key is to follow the child's lead and show genuine curiosity. And I think that's important. Kids can really feel when you're interested or not, right? If you're just like there or not really paying attention. So it's important that you, even if you don't get it, just ask questions simply, oh, tell me more. What's going on here that a child could be excited that someone's wanting to hear about what's going on for them. And especially the following the child's lead, I think, especially within some of our cultures, the child is seen and not heard, right? And this may be a different way of viewing things where we do want our children to, in a safe and limits, of course, lead, right? If they can choose something um, or get to choose a game, right? And we follow along, great, right? But we can still express what the rules are and around that. But sometimes having them take a lead helps them to build their confidence. Especially we always say we don't want our children to be followers, right? But are we giving them opportunities to lead, right? So that's important. And, this communicates that their world matters, which is what we want them to have a voice, especially as Black or racialized children. We really want them to know that they have a voice. So I just wanted to show a little video of a child-directed play. And yeah, let me know if it's gonna work. Can you hear?
Want some help? Okay. How many are in here? Which one do I get? Orange. And then which one do you get? What are we gonna make with this Play-Doh?
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti? Tell me, what do I do?
You can set up the table while I make the spaghetti.
Okay. What do I use to set up the table? Where's the stuff? What would you like me to do?
Maybe you can make the meatballs.
I can make meatballs. That sounds good.
Help me with the noodles.
I can help you with the noodles as well.
And maybe set up the table.
Is that good?
Set up the table and the meatballs.
And what are you gonna make?
The noodles. Maybe we can make a dessert drink.
Oh, what kind of dessert drink?
Vanilla chocolate.
That sounds good. Where are you gonna put that?
And the red cup.
Child-directed play allows a child to be in control of a one-to-one play session with a trusted adult where there are no negative consequences. Toys and games are taken out. The child leads, the adult follows.
Maybe we can make a cherry
A cherry?
on top.
That sounds great. A yellow cherry or a blue cherry?
A blue cherry.
Blue cherry sounds good. On top of spaghetti and meatballs? Okay. All the adult needs to do is say, would you like to play with me? Typically, the child will say yes. Without missing a beat, we'll start to explain what they want to do. Maybe it involves some toys or maybe a game of pretend. In any case, the child will take it from here. You are just along for the ride.
Maybe we put Play-Doh in.
Okay.
We just switch it.
Child-directed play, also called child-led play, can be compared to improvisational theater.
This is hard.
Do you want some help?
Yeah.
In improv theater, actors have to go at what they're given from other actors. Do you want me to squeeze it or you want to try? Really hard. During child-directed play, the adult does exactly that. If the child says she gets 2 turns because it's Tuesday, the adult might say, well, we know it is Tuesday, so I guess you go again.
This is hard.
Okay, I will help you. The rules of play are forming in real time in the mind of the child, and your actions will let them know whatever those rules are and however those rules change, well, that's fine by you. We will do a deep dive into why this experience is so important for children in an upcoming video.
All right. So, any thoughts on the play that happened? What did you observe? Thoughts, suggestions, things you would do differently?
I like that the mom was entertaining whatever the child was offering.
Yeah, she wanted to put a cherry on spaghetti. Yeah. Don't
That's
ask
good.
why. Don't, shouldn't it be something else, right? A tomato? No, just go along with it, right?
Right.
hmm Yeah, any other thoughts? Yeah, so it's just a great video in terms of showing that kids are taking the lead, right? See how the parent kept checking in. So what do you want me to do? So that's a way of getting the child to let them lead and tell you what to do in the play space. I know outside of that, it might be a little different, but within the play space, they kind of have that control, and it's a great way to use their imagination and you knowing that the parent can follow along and support their play.
But
All right, so there's also a concept called serve and return. So this is where the child initiates the react interaction. So this can be anything from a baby's who are cry, so they're wanting some attention, or there's a comment, and then the caregiver responds to the child by acknowledging them, right? So that creates that safety, that knowing that the caregiver is there to support them, and this helps to can create laughter and shared joy, which helps to release oxytocin to know, that a child feels safe, which strengthens bonds. And it's also important for parents to observe their child's cues, right? What's going on? If they're not making eye contact, is there something going on? Are they not feeling well? Is their tone different than they usually are? Or their body language is different? So it's important to be mindful and acknowledging when they might need support. So, in terms of play, it's also very heavy within our cultures, right? So, rhythm and dance are central to our culture, from African drumming circles to Caribbean ring games, right? There is Black Girl in the Ring, or different things that can connect generations. I know sometimes at church events, right? It's like that's intergenerational. All the kids and adults are playing these ring games, and this is a way to just remind us of our culture. Singing and movement also teach coordination and listening and group harmony. And dancing together releases joy and builds confidence, right? Knowing that everyone is not so serious and we're actually enjoying and able to take some time to just have fun helps to kind of bring community together. Storytelling is one of the oldest forms of African Caribbean cultures and traditions, right? I know I've also always heard the Anansi stories. I still don't know what half of them mean, because there is some meaning in them, but always heard them are folk tales, and there's also folk dances, proverbs that teach different wisdoms and moral lessons through them, right? That we can carry down into different generations, and that children can use in their learning as they grow. Storytelling builds language, critical thinking, and empathy while connecting children to ancestral voices. And especially within neighborhoods, there's family games like skipping, marbles, hide and seek, dandy shandy, hand clapping games, right? Even as adults, I think at a Thanksgiving at this past year, some of us were just playing hand games, right? We're trying to remember back in what we did in high school, right? So some of these games do continue, and there's a shared connection that can come with that. So some strategies on how to play with your child. So this is for anybody, parents, family members, other caregivers. It's important to provide they parents, family members, and caregivers provide different opportunities for children to play, right? You notice that children may play differently with different people, and which is great, right? So listen, observe, communicate. So labeling different things, right? So that's a red ball or that's a blue sky. Ask questions, you know. what is that? Or tell me more about that thing and explain more if they have questions and praise your child's accomplishment when they do achieve, let's say, build in something. Try to respond when your child initiates play. So I know this is the hard part, right? When we're tired and there's so many things to do and the kids really want to play. But even just giving them 5 minutes, right? Sometimes it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of the play, right? So even just giving 5 minutes of your undivided attention can just give them what they need for that moment, and then you can return to what you're doing, right? Respect your child's interest, right? So we may have very different interests than kids, but allowing them to discover this interest and be excited about something, that's what we want kids to be as they're learning. So get to your child's level. Sometimes we do tend to stand over them, but sometimes just bending down or sitting on the floor with them helps that power dynamic to not be so evident. And then be curious. I noticed that you built a garage for your cars. Tell me more about it, right? So be interested in what they're doing. And then reading stories with your child, right? This tends to a lot of times happen at nighttime when we can, right? And then retell them or act them out as a way to build in play, as well as sometimes you can read stories and ask your children, like, what did they learn from it? Because I've found, especially in my work, is sometimes reading a story, children can then see themselves through that story if that's the same issue that maybe they're dealing with. Because usually, even as adults, we're able to support someone else or give them the strategies, but then we can't take it for ourselves. But this is a great way in terms of play, having kids problem solve for someone in their story and then talking about how they can apply those same strategies for themselves. Use the music to move and dance with your child, right? So, especially sometimes even before bed or when they have a lot of energy, using music and getting them to just kind of shake it all out helps actually with some of their big movements that they might have. And it's fun for them, but you don't know that you're really just trying to make them more tired. So that's a strategy that can be used. Respect your child's attention span according to their age and development. Develop a routine so your child has time for active play and time for quiet play, right? So it's figuring out, is it after school? It's a quiet play, right? Just let's get sorted before we have to do homework and stuff. Or is it you come home, you get to play or, and then it's homework time or whatever it is. So creating some structure that your child can follow and know that's kind of what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. And then allow your child to assist with simple chores and talk about them. So make it fun, right? If it's a chart or you get a sticker or let's see how if we can make this a competition. Who wants to clean this area, sweep this area the quickest, right? But it's all helping you, but you got to make it fun or folding the clothes or something like that. So trying to get kids involved, they actually sometimes do want to help. It's just how do we make it interesting for them to do? Okay, and simple ways to play at home could be micro moments of play. So as I mentioned before, the 5 to 10 minutes of just focused time, right? Sometimes as parents, we think it has to be hours, but just given the moments that you have through your tiredness and all of that you're doing within a day, just that amount of time can be, good for your child. Cooking, how to make it fun, get them involved. If it's baking, they get to stir or whatever. I know it's messy, but it's also creating memories, right? So it's remembering the memories that come out of the mess. Music. So as mentioned, music, dance, storytelling, right? So getting different books or helping your child to be creative, or as a parent, you being creative. What can you quickly, if there's something going on for your child at school, coming up with a story not slightly related to what their issue is, and then how can we help this character? Or this teddy bear, right? What can we do to help them, right? So making it fun. You can draw your feelings, right? Sometimes kids don't know how to express themselves with words, so by drawing them or using different colors to identify their feelings can be really helpful. And finding ways to laugh with our children, right? A lot of times we can be very serious, so wanting them to go to bed or do this routine but it's also important to create memories where we're not just so serious all the time. And then outdoor play, which I know doesn't always happen all the time. It's getting cold now, but it's still important for kids to still go outside and engage in some form of play, where they can be imaginative, right? To build an igloo or a fort or whatever it is with the snow. And then board games, right? So that can be a way. And definitely a lot you can learn with kids. I know I've worked with some kids and they're very competitive and they don't want to lose and will constantly change the rules just to make themselves win. But that is a way of understanding how you can now teach them what is fair play, right? And then sports as well. So, what message does your child receive when you join their play? What do you think they feel?
I would say that for me personally, I feel that they feel that I'm enjoying their company.
Hmm.
Because
Exactly, right?
they're very verbal. They'll say, thank you for playing with me. I like that you play with me.
Hmm.
That's one thing they always used to say.
Yeah. So, and this probably makes you feel good that you get to spend that time with them. They are
Yes.
seen. I like that. They are seen. That's really big, right? Because we want them to feel like they're important.
Yeah. But as soon as they tell me thank you, Daddy, whatever, I'm like, okay, bye, and I'm gone.
Fair. You're like, I did my time. They're thankful. Great. I get it. Yes, definitely fair. All right. So, in terms of play for emotional regulation, play provides a natural outlet, right? So, in terms of, let's say our children are feeling lots of emotions, we can use dolls or action figures or drawing to explore feelings. Especially I have used with the kids using the dolls and action, they can play out maybe an issue that happened at school, who said what and what happened, right? And then we can start to identify how do you think this person felt or whatever, right? So being creative in that way. Because I think sometimes they tell the story through play then when you ask them what happened, right? So getting them to show you might be helpful. Storytelling. So, as I said before, creating simple stories that mirror real life situations. Movement using dancing or Play-Doh or outdoor activities can help release built up energy. And parent participation, joining your child without judgment or correction and let them lead. So I just have a scenario and we can think of some ideas how we can infuse play together. So the scenario is your child won't get ready for bed. So in terms of some creative ideas you might use now to support them with the bedtime routine that won't make you stressed or overwhelmed. Any ideas? There's no one answer. Mhm.
So sorry, Chantal, your question was in regards to um, what routine or what would you do in terms of if your child won't get ready for bed?
Right, yeah. So bringing in play into it, what would you do?
Okay, because just recently, no, she was good with going to bed after you read a book, after you play a little bit of Legos. Then all of a sudden, once she turned 3, she switched on me. She just didn't want to go to bed. I was like, what? And it was like night and day. So now instead of reading like one good book, she wants to read three books.
Hmm.
So we read the three books. Then after we finish reading the three, she wants to have a conversation.
Okay.
So we have the conversation. Then she either wants me to play a song before she goes to bed, and then we play the song. And then she said she wants to go to everyone to tell them good night. So it's pure stalling.
Right, exactly.
And then as soon as you call her out on the stalling, she's ready to bawl. And so now, because from what I read out of this book that my wife shared with me, is that to just place a chair outside the door
Hmm.
and just tell her, say, I'm outside the door, leave the door ajar a little bit, and say, just
Hmm.
lie down, I'm outside here.
Hmm.
Eventually, when I could hear her sleeping, I just close the door and then I leave.
Yes, yeah, definitely a lot of stalling. And I have read that kids, they suddenly get more energy when it's time for bed because it's around safety, feeling like they want to be close to their parents, right? So that's kind of what's happening for them. And I think the idea of sitting by the door helps them to feel a little bit independent, trying to go to bed on their own, but still being close enough. So I like that. And the reading books definitely helpful. And this may be to think about if they do stall, you may need to start a bedtime routine a bit earlier if they do that, right? So yeah. I see someone else. Be playful, create a routine. My nephew loves to pretend being dinosaurs and he loves cuddling. Yeah. So figuring out what your child likes and in terms of what you said earlier, kids do switch up on you, right? When you think you got the routine down, they want to switch it up. So it's having to constantly be relearning our kids and what they like to do, and even just asking them what they would want to do to make bedtime routine easier. Right. So some ideas are, let's see if you can brush your teeth before this song ends, right? So that can be for brush time. I know for my 2-year-old, I have to play a song for her to brush her teeth and for even her to let me help her brush her teeth. I have to play this song, right? And then for bedtime, you can have your child put you to bed. So this can be part of play. They'll probably giggle and think it's funny, but then are sometimes more naturally cooperative when it's their turn because it's like, it's your turn now, right? So that could be an idea to help with that. And then let's use our superhero speed to get into our PJs. So making it fun. Let's see how fast you can get to into your PJs. And they can choose a superhero name or pose after each task. And then for another one is having a toy help them get ready. For example, their teddy bear might, tell them to remind them to brush their teeth. So you can be using puppets or things to talk instead of you being the parent talking in a way. So that's some strategies, some ideas that might be helpful for bedtime. And definitely there's so much more that we could do, but it's figuring out what might work for your child. But it's important just to have some play into it. So, just some questions we'll just quickly go through. Um, how might play change your stress level as a parent? How do you think it might be helpful with different routines? Oh, I need all those tips. Glad you found them helpful. Yeah, so in terms of play, it could make it more stressful because that's what children are naturally gravitate to is the play, right? So they will, um, if they can have fun doing the thing that they don't like to do, why not? And you don't have to repeat yourself 10,000 times, which probably usually is what's happening, right? So, um, yeah, so thinking about how can you, even though it may be silly, what can you do to help your child and yourself be less stressed with different routines. Okay, so I know we're winding down with time, but I just wanted to go over this play personalities that I learned about by Dr. Stuart Brown. So he said that there's 8 different personalities, and learning about these personalities can help you figure out what you like as a play as adults. Because adults, we should be able to be playing as well, right? We should be engaging in fun, and then understanding what our child play personality is and how we can support them in whatever their play personality is. So reading through them, which one may be more for you. So there's a joker. So this could be, I guess, the class clown loves silliness, laughter, and humor. The explorer enjoys discovering, experimenting, and learning new things. The director likes organizing events, games, and taking the lead on things. Storyteller weaves stories, acts out roles, and creates imaginative worlds. The collector has a collection of objects or experiences, such as coins or toy trains or antiques, whatever it is. Kinesthetic plays through body movement, so playing sports or other physical activities. The competitor enjoys games and contests, thrives on friendly competition. The creator or artist loves making things such as drawing, cooking, building, and crafting. So, as you read through these, any of those stand out to what your play personality as a parent might be and what maybe your kids might be. I know for me, it might be the explorer, enjoys discovering, experiment, and learning new things. Um, And I would say that probably is for my daughter as well, because she's also young, so she's still in that exploring stage. Mhm.
Yeah, creator artist. Yeah, creator artist loves making things such as drawing, cooking, building crafts. Yep, definitely for all three of them.
Okay, awesome. Okay. And this is important to know, right? If they are a creator or artist, how then you tailor a lot of the play or fun or activities you do to their play type of play they do. Because I'm sure sometimes we drag our kids to certain activities and they totally hate it because it's not their type of play, right? So understanding their play might be really helpful.
Mm. Okay, those
Right.
segments. Oh, yeah. Hmm.
So So how do you bring player creativity in your life now, or how can you bring more of it into your play now, into your life now?
I think for myself, it's really designating the appropriate time to do that stuff. Really finding time to implement some fun, creative stuff and getting their suggestions also, because they're always they not always, but when they are on their devices, they see a lot of cool, creative stuff that
Hmm.
they also want to continue inside the house also off
Hmm.
offline. So they'll see something creative like a drawing or an activity, and they also want to do that. So just taking time to really explore some of those things and making sure that I what I'm proactive with is every time I go to the dollar store, I kind of stock up on some stuff.
Hmm.
So
Yes, the store has great things.
like
Yeah.
great stuff like from the papers to the crayons to all that. Because it allows you, as soon as someone comes up with an idea, you have it at arm's reach and you could start.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, definitely. The plug is the dollar store. They have lots of great items there. All right. All right. So this is something to th kind of think about. So if you had 3 parts in your routine throughout your day, it could be meals, bedtime, or commute, or whatever it is, brainstorm one playful way to turn each into a connection time or a play time. So I'll give you about about 2 or 3 minutes to just kind of think about for yourself what can you infuse into your routines with your kids.
Well, with three parts, I don't know. In terms of meals, there's no play activity during there. We get straight to business. Like,
And it doesn't have to be these, it could be anything.
definitely in terms of plate, in terms of bedtime, there is always well, it's shifting now because now that she doesn't want to sleep, I'm trying to implement some new stuff, different books, because I think some of the books that we had before when she was two, they're very short worded.
Hmm.
Now I'm realizing she wants things that have a little bit more longer of a story
Hmm.
to it.
Hmm.
So going into those and designate, as you said, retiring in a little bit earlier so you can actually go through a couple of books. Um, and with the commute, that has shifted too, because before I was able just to give her one toy and she's good for the whole car ride. But now it's like she has a book with a crayon, then she puts that to the side. She has two Barbie dolls, and she doesn't want the Barbie doll, and so
Hmm.
she probably has at least four different items in the car that she rotates among herself just to be busy. Because I don't do the digital devices in the car.
Hmm. Fair. Yeah. And kids do have a very short attention span, so it's like you have to always have something going
Yeah.
to keep them occupied, right? But I know she's 3, but for other older kids, it's actually okay for them to be bored,
Oh,
right? I know it's not always good, but
no, no, I know. Yeah, no, it's good. They need to be.
but it allows them to be a little bit more creative. I know it could also turn into idleness where they start getting into things, but that's usually sometimes where they develop imagination and start creating things, right? So sometimes it's okay for them to be a little bored. Yeah.
We do books for the older ones.
Yes.
If they read 10 chapter books in a month, they get $100.
Mm. Oh, nice. Yeah. It's a great incentive. Yeah. And I see someone says, I can make getting ready for school more fun and less of a rush. Right. Yeah. And I think that's a really great idea because actually how you start the day ends up impacting them throughout the day. So if they're constantly in a rush, they don't feel as settled as they kind of start school. So finding ways to make it a little bit more easier will be helpful. So even getting them to pick their clothing or um, making the brushing teeth more fun or being creative with their meals and they'll get into make the meal into something, an animal or something like that, right? So finding ways. All right. So it's important as play where just giving eye contact, being curious, laughter, laughing and setting dedicated time. And as I said, it can be 5 to 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever you can, truly give your child. And this will help change how play will be. So as you kind of reflect and we kind of come to an end, write one small way you'll make space for play this week, because it's really about connection first and then correcting later. And in terms of like, let's say a child is having a tantrum, it may not be the best time to infuse play into that until they're a little bit more regulated. And then you can bring that connection and then correct them after, right? So I hope you've found this helpful. And I think I saw that there's one question. Okay, so kids get a temper tantrum and cannot see cartoons. Yeah, this is a hard one, especially when they're used to screens and whatnot. So it will be about being very strict about the timing, right? But when you're also, if it's an hour, you get half an hour of to get to watch this, but also having some transition time. So we like to just go and turn off the TV, but let's say, okay, in 10 minutes, we're wrapping this up. So that there is not just that immediate, but they're given some time for that transition or starting to talk about the cartoon or asking them questions. Oh, what's this about? Or to maybe get them less focused on the cartoon and being engaging and telling you more about it. Um, but yeah, the temper tantrum, definitely something that I know a lot of kids have, but it's also for you as the parent to be regulated and not wanting to come at them in the moment. If they need space, let them have their space until they're ready to talk. And maybe this can be in terms of play beforehand, before you know they may have a tantrum, do some role plays or what would you need for when you do have a tantrum in terms of a calming corner or toys you need, or do you want to hug your stuffy, right? So having some plans before their tantrum that, hey, remember we talked about when you have a tantrum, this is where you can go to regulate yourself a little bit more. So that could be some ideas. Yeah, any other questions or thoughts?
No, thank you so much. Do you have a website or anything that you are able to share in the chat or a
Yes, I have
slide?
it online. I have it on a slide, but I can also write it in the chat.
I think I saw that flyer at the office. Is that what I did I see one of yours? Wine Rose. There we go.
Yeah, so connect with us. We have a team of different therapists who work with the children, youth, families, couples, so we can support the whole family.
That is absolutely fantastic. Thank you for sharing your expertise in this wonderful topic.
Mhm. Thank you
And
so much.
you're
Enjoyed being
welcome.
here.
Thank you. And I really appreciate you sharing all those very useful tips.